Food is fuel for your body, your mind, and definitely your sport. But let's face it, nutrition is confusing, and the expectations on girls and women to be thin and have a six-pack are exhausting. If you've ever been frustrated with your body, confused about nutrition, obsessed with eating healthy, or guilty when you don't, underate, overate, or overtrained, and overwhelmed with all the pressure, then this podcast is for you. Nutrition can be easy. You can take control of it, but it might start with letting go of control by asking for help and making a change. I'm Lindsay Elizabeth Cortez, sports dietitian and owner of Rise Up Nutrition, where I empower female athletes to overcome nutrition concerns and perform at their highest level, to stop being confused by all the mixed or harmful messages, and finally have confidence in your body as a fierce, fit, and fueled female athlete. Hey fans and listeners, welcome back to the Female Athlete Nutrition Podcast. So I'm here today with my partner in crime, working with clients, Jenna, who is our lead nutrition success coach and registered dietitian. She's been on the podcast before. And then, hi Jenna, you can say hi.
Hi.
And I'm also here with Ruby, who is making her podcast debut officially, although she has been working behind the scenes on the podcast for almost a year now, Ruby. We're coming up on a year of Ruby being the one to email.
I think we're over a year.
Over a year now? Yeah, it was definitely last summer.
Yeah, we're well over a year. So it's pretty strange to be on this side of the podcast because I feel like I'm part of every podcast we release. Yeah, I've never actually spoken on this podcast.
I know. Yeah. So it's so great because you obviously we're getting such good feedback of people who really enjoy listening to our episodes and like our guests. And that's a huge thanks to Ruby. I started the podcast just myself. And then once I brought Ruby on, I think it's gotten a lot better. So thank you, Ruby.
I'm really proud of the fact that since I came on board, we haven't missed a week at all. And we've had over 52 episodes now since I've been on board, and it's been great that we've had one a week and we've built such a diverse range of episodes with different guests and different conversations.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think our listeners do too. So I'm going to put a shameless plug in here that if you are enjoying this podcast, give us a 5-star rating on Apple or leave us a review, because I do look at those because it is helpful. And then I think it just spreads the word for other people too. So I think today's episode, me, Jenna, and Ruby talk a lot, as working with our clients here at Rise Up Nutrition. We're talking a lot all the time, every week, and we're talking about our clients, but we're also talking about ourselves and our relationships with food and training and sport. And I don't know, it just hit me probably about 2 months ago in one of my conversations, one of my team meetings with Jenna, that I was like, man, I wish we could record these because we just have such good conversations about food. And so, that's what we're doing here today. We're just going to have a conversation about food. And that's also something I think when we look to the Female Athlete Nutrition Podcast, where it says nutrition in it, right? But then sometimes our episodes are more focused on psychology or mindset or training or rehab, which is awesome to get that diversity. But we are here as dietitians, me and Jenna and Ruby. Actually, Ruby, do you want to share with our listeners, you're a college student, so you're not a dietitian. I want to be clear about that. But do you want to share with them a little bit about your interest and passion for nutrition and with nutrition?
I think my interest in nutrition definitely came from personal experience to start with, my own kind of struggles and difficulties with an eating disorder or multiple eating disorders and my own mental health before I got involved in sport, and then some continued struggles with nutrition whilst my running took off to the next level. And then my interest in nutrition also comes from just performance. My major is exercise physiology with a minor in psychology, and I'm just really interested in optimizing performance, and nutrition is a huge part of that.
For sure. Exactly. So we're just going to, talk about food because we all have so much that we love talking about it. So I'm going to just pose a question, and Jenna, I'm going to have you start. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
What was something fun that you ate this week?
What was something fun that I ate this week? Okay, so I had gone home to my parents, and my mom, she always asked me, it doesn't matter how old I am, I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything? And so I was like, can you just like get large portobellos, and can dad make portobello mushrooms on the grill? And like, can you make macaroni salad? And she's like, but she was probably thinking I just needed like grape tomatoes.
Yeah.
Or something very small. And it's just because there's nothing better than like your parents always make like just a hearty meal for you, as you know, you can always come home to that. So it's my favorite meal. And this has been my favorite mac and cheese since I was a kid. Not mac and cheese, macaroni salad.
Macaroni
salad.
Do you do it like classic with like the mayo, salt, pepper, celery chopped up?
Don't put celery in it. She put celery seed in, and then I overload it with olives. Like I overflow. She said only because you're only thinking that it's asked for like 2 tablespoons. I put in like a cup.
You know, I feel like olives are underrated though. So I really love olives,
Yes.
But they're always a topping or like a garnish. And then I think it was 4 years ago, I went to England and I like took myself out to dinner. It was like a solo trip thing. And I went out at a restaurant. Ruby, you can tell me if this is like a usual English thing. I think it has nothing to do with England, but that's where I was. I was in London. And like as an appetizer, they served like an entire cup full of olives, like a full cup of olives. Is that a British thing?
Were you at an Italian place? Were you at somewhere called Jamie's?
No.
It's more common than in America. Often they'll bring out olives and also bread and olive oil and vinegar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that was like the first time in my life that, and I'm pretty sure I ate the entire cup as an appetizer. And it was like the first time that I was like, oh, this doesn't have to just be like a garnish or like 2 olives on a salad. Like I can actually eat these. And then when you think about like, well,
it's really common, especially if you went to a pub or something in the evening, you'd have like a little like smorgasbord with some olives on, some crackers, nuts, peanuts. No, it's fairly common.
Yeah, I think ever since then, like I've started to do olives more of a snack because, right, you think about them as like olive oil is like a great source of fat. Yeah. Like, why don't we just eat olives more? Like, just like eat.
I had a question.
Olives.
This was a question.
Yeah.
If anybody can answer this, but I thought about this, and I think about this almost every time when I'm eating an olive, or like I grab olives out of the jar. Is olive juice similar to pickle juice because it's not an oil?
Mm-mm.
Right?
I think it's just like pickling vinegar. I think it's just like...
Is it?
It's the brine. Okay. It's the salt and the vinegar. Yeah.
I think it's brine and vinegar. And I guess it has a slightly different taste to pickles because it's the olives in. That's where the taste comes from. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's just the same.
Would it then be like kind of like how I eat pickles a lot when I'm in the summer.
You can substitute pickle juice for olive juice.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you probably could, but I think I like pickle juice better, and I can straight up drink pickle juice. I don't know if anybody else can. It's so good.
Oh, yeah. So the other day I was in the car. I was at the grocery store and I had to quick get sour cream because it expired and it was like smelling really bad. And I always get a craving for pickles. So I always buy them and they fit in the console of my car and like in the drive home.
Yeah.
I think pickles are the American version of olives because we don't use pickles. We don't do anything with pickles. Like, I'm sure you can buy them at the grocery store, but they're not common. Like, I'd never heard of pickles, people eating pickles or pickle juice until I came to America. So it's really not common, whereas olives are really common. Everyone has olives. Like, yeah.
Interesting.
Huh.
The more I think about it, the more I think
so it's probably swapped.
That I hadn't even thought about it until you highlighted it just then. But yeah, olives are nowhere near as common in America as they are. But I'm sure that makes sense, though. We're really near the Mediterranean as opposed to you guys. And that's where they're grown and that's where they come from. They come from like Greece and Italy.
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense.
Right.
In Europe.
Yeah, that's probably it. And like, it does make sense. And yeah, pickles, that's definitely more of an American thing. Like growing up, my grandmother, every like holiday, or even I just think for dinners, when I went over for dinner, she had like just on the dinner table, like a jar of pickles. We just do pickles.
It's pickles. Pickles really are common.
Huh.
Super funny.
Interesting.
Does anybody like the sweet pickles?
Yes.
Well, you're asking the wrong person. I've already said you listeners didn't see my face, but I pulled quite a disgusted face. Pickles, to be fair, I don't think I ever really tried them, so maybe I can't talk, but they gross me out. Because when I was younger, we used to go to the beaches in like France and Europe, and I don't know if anyone knows what these are, but they have these things called sea cucumbers, which are like cucumbers, but they live in the sea and are actual animals. And
yes, well, I like fourth grade field trips to the aquarium. We always got to hold the
me
sea
and my
cucumbers.
friends on these would go in the ocean and hunt or like collect them. And one day in France, we collected like 50 of these, and we'd create a little like rock pool in the sand where we could put all our keepings of sea cucumbers, and we'd compete, me and my siblings and my
sea cucumbers
cousins would compete to try and see who could collect the most. And if you hold them in your, they're really slimy. They're like slimy cucumbers, and they're animals. If you hold them in your hand, they can poop and pee on your hands. And
I never saw these before.
Play with our cousins about holding these and trying to, get them to pee and poop on each other.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did in like our fourth grade. Like I remember, I remember in fourth grade, like we went to an aquarium, then like the aquarium came to the school for the day, and like that was the thing of like every student like held the sea cucumber, and it was like, is it going to poop on you?
To me, pickles are just small sea cucumbers, and I remember I was often the only girl among a group of boys, like my brother and my cousins. And they would pick on me.
I don't know if anybody could see that, but is the poop coming out.
Yeah, they would pick on me and throw the sea cucumbers at me and try and get them to pee and poop on me. Like, this became like a snowball fight with sea cucumbers. Like, we'd stand in the ocean and have a snowball fight with these sea cucumbers.
Oh my God.
So I'm fairly traumatized, and I never really want to go near anything that looks like a slimy cucumber again. And pickles are just that.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're not, though. They're totally different. One's an animal, one's a vegetable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sea cucumbers have nothing to do with cucumbers except that they're green on the outside and long and shaped like that. And that's why they're called cucumbers. They have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
I like cucumbers, but I think the slimy bit. And the fact that pickles are in water as well. So I'm like, can't do it.
Jeez. You're struggling here. Well, I mean, I think looking on the bright side, nutritionally, I'm not feeling like Ruby, you have to eat pickles. Like, I think it's okay if you don't eat pickles in your life. I mean, you get that great sodium, but we can get it from olives.
Well, it's all about making substitutes, and your pickles, my olives. And
there you go. Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, man, I make homemade pickles.
I've never done that yet.
Yeah, I guess it's not like super fancy homemade, but I just slice up cucumber and put it in vinegar and then some onion and then like fresh dill, salt and pepper.
I can do that.
And I just let it
do that because I know where it's come from, how they've done it. I don't want to.
Yeah. And I just let it sit in the fridge for one day and then or longer, but like at least one day. And I never even measure anything out. I just salt, pepper, vinegar, and fresh dill with sliced cucumber and sometimes onion, and it's like and then you can just eat it plain, or you can throw it on top of a salad or like add it to a sandwich. And it's just a different spin on a cucumber, a pickled cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we all just learned a few things.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the tangent.
No.
We've never covered sea cucumbers on the podcast before. So new ground.
No, see, this is why, this is exactly what I was saying, though. When we start talking about food, we have good conversation. I feel like people don't talk about food like this. So Jenna, you had your macaroni salad where you used a lot of olives.
Yeah. And you know what? I had told you, Lindsay, I went to a concert last night and we got home super late because my friend and I waited until the traffic settled and left the parking lot. And so I got home at like midnight. And when you're at a concert, you really don't like leave to go get food or like get another drink or anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm really hungry and I really haven't eaten in several hours. So I came home and I grabbed bread and I put the mac the macaroni salad inside the sandwich.
Was it good?
It was so good. It was just like carbs on carbs. But I was like, this is just so, because it also was, I don't know, it just like, because when macaroni salad sits for a few days, it gets a little runnier and it just like soaked up in the bread so perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was amazing.
It sounds good. I do love macaroni salad. It is like a summertime thing. And yeah, I should make that again. I haven't made it in
Do you put eggs in yours?
No.
I put hard-boiled eggs in mine.
Well, yeah, there's so many
ways.
I think like there's so many different ways you can do it. I've definitely had macaroni salad with eggs in it and olives in it, or like chunks of cheese in it, or like, but yeah, the one, I don't know, it's funny because I kind of like you started, Jenna, it's like when your parents like were at, like you wanted that like comfort food or something. Like, I think right now, if I were to make my own macaroni salad for like me and my family, I probably would make it with like feta cheese or broccoli, like something that's just like a little like unique or something. But if I think about truly macaroni salad, like I'm going back to being a kid at my mom's house and she just made it very plain.
Yeah.
And so it was diced up celery, the macaroni, mayonnaise, salt and pepper, maybe celery salt. And that was it. And it was like, so I think there was a time in my life, like college and post-college, when, as if people know my story, like started probably getting too restrictive with food and trying, I was studying nutrition, so starting to make everything super healthy type of thing, where I like wouldn't eat that type of stuff because it was just mayonnaise and what good am I getting from it type of thing. But now I'm like, no, like if I'm going to make macaroni salad, I'm going to make it like the classic way. Like that's the way I'm going to do it, because I can get my air quote healthy ingredients like elsewhere. But like,
yeah,
I just want my macaroni salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where also maybe that's it too, is where I had spent a really long time in my life avoiding things like the mayonnaise and the whole eggs and even the olives. Because as a kid, I used to just eat them like candy until then I realized that like, oh, they have calories in them. And then it just was like, oh, so that's something I also have to avoid. And so like, let's just avoid macaroni salad altogether. And then it's now reintroducing those things because like they also make me happy and it reminds me of my childhood and it's a sense of comfort and it's nourishment. Like I said, it was my fats and my eggs were my proteins and my carbs in my dinner last night. And it's like, I use it for nourishment instead.
I think it's funny the narratives we make up, the kind of all or nothing mindset we will have. It's like, even now, I'm sure if you found a recipe, not you in general, but some people found it, we can all relate to, say, seeing a recipe and finding one ingredient on the list that we have told ourselves we can't have. So instead of making accommodations or just making it without that ingredient, we think, oh gosh, this recipe has cheese in it, I can't eat any of this recipe. Or like if we went out to a friend's house and they have one dish that's, I don't know, hamburgers. Like, I can't eat anything now. Like, they have one dish. Or we make up stories about, like in our heads about, oh, so-and-so wants to go to an Italian restaurant and we've told ourselves we can't have pizza, so therefore we can't go to the event. When if a friend invites you to dinner at an Italian restaurant and you've got this food rule you can't have pizza, my message to people is don't let that deter you from the social opportunity. Like, you don't have to have pizza. Why not go and have pasta or go and have a salad, but just go and socialize and be with someone.
Yeah.
And I think that always beats like that kind of all or nothing mindset.
You brought up something really interesting around the holidays, Ruby, when some of the girls in the group were worried about holiday meals and like going to different places. And one of the girls in the chat brought up the fact that, and I just did the math again, if you take all the meals in the entire year, it's 0.09 of all the meals you will have in the whole year.
Like Thanksgiving, like the one holiday meal.
Yes.
Yeah.
0.09.
But I also think of all the things that are surrounding that meal. All the family, the connections, the community. Do you know what? Like, I would much rather say to a client, like, we think that because of food often surrounds these social occasions, if at that moment you're really struggling with your fear of food or your fear of like overeating or not having the food that you want, we often tend to isolate ourselves. So I would always say to someone, like, go to the event. And more often than not, you'll one, enjoy yourself, and you'll also find food you can eat or that you want to eat or different options.
Yeah, not to be scared of it. And I think, yeah, like overarching message is like, don't isolate yourself. Go to these things, say yes, be around family, be around friends, socialize, celebrate. You're going to find options there. And then worst case scenario, if you're not finding options, then I'm saying get help. Like that's why me and Jenna are here. Get help because you need to figure it out and challenge yourself and get more comfortable with those foods. But yes, like don't hold back from going because there's so many options. Even if it comes to like, I'm thinking like restaurant food or like holiday meals, like buffet, right? It's like summertime. Maybe you're going to like a barbecue type thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, maybe you don't have everything. Maybe you take something and you, I don't want to promote picking, but it's still like. I
think that these holiday meals, these festivities, these celebrations, they're almost like the best kind of meals because you go and there's a spread. There's tons of different options. So you can be fussy, you can be picky. There's so many different things to choose from. Like, I love a good buffet because I'm quite an indecisive person and I love trying a bit of everything.
Yeah. I think options are good. Some people get overwhelmed with too many options, but I think options are good because, well, at this point in my life, options are really good because I know like, well, I like this food, but I don't like that food, or like, you know, the more options you have, the more choices, the more freedom. And I think with more freedom, you make more empowered choices for what you truly want and need versus when you limit yourself and, you know, you only have one option or something. It's like, well, I didn't even like it, or that didn't satisfy me. That didn't nourish me, or whatever it might be. You get really stuck in a box. So I think that the more options, the better, even though for some people it's really overwhelming. I think that if it's overwhelming to you, if more options are overwhelming, then that's where we need to figure out why that's overwhelming and kind of break down that situation for you a little bit more.
I think options are great because as we always, like, the end goal is just to be more intuitive with your body and really understand what you need personally and not be like swayed by what other people think you should have or are having themselves. So I think options are great so you can be more intuitive. Also, this is a tangent, but a tip I had when I was really recovering from my eating disorder was if we went to a buffet or a like celebration meal, I would ask someone else that I trusted to fill my plate for me, to give me a good dinner, because I struggled really hard to know how much, know what I should eat, or like just make the right decisions, even though like I knew I needed to make them. So I would just share responsibility with someone else.
I think that's a great piece of advice.
Hey fans, I hope you are enjoying this conversation so far, and we'll be back to it in just a moment. But first, I want to pause and let you know that this episode is brought to you by the Female Athlete System of Transformation, aka the Fast Track to overcome disordered eating and use food as fuel to perform at your highest level. The Female Athlete System of Transformation is my unique program and proven systems to guide female athletes to understanding and implementing the proper nutrition for their sport, life, and health. Myself and my team of registered sports dietitians work one-on-one with clients to address their unique needs and counsel them through the nutritional and behavioral changes needed. Many female athletes who resonate with disordered eating, mental guilt around food and body, relative energy deficiency in sport or female athlete triad, amenorrhea, repeat injuries due to negligent nutrition, or frankly, just a lack of knowledge and understanding on their fueling needs, have seen incredible success in the Fast Track. After years of working as a sports RD, I've compiled the most effective ways for female athletes to learn nutrition, be supported, be challenged, and ultimately find their success with fueling as fast as possible. So don't wait another day. Get to your goals faster by joining the Female Athlete System of Transformation. Look in the show notes or head to the website to book a free call and learn more. Okay, now let's get you back to the conversation. Enjoy.
I just have to share that as we're like, options are good, I have to share a little story. When Rob, my husband, when me and him first moved in together, he has this thing, like, I don't know the most appropriate way to describe this, but like, remember, like, what is that show on MTV? It's not on anymore, nor do I watch MTV, but like MTV Cribs.
Oh,
is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So MTV Cribs, where it's like all these like glamorous houses, right? And just like houses with ridiculous things in it too, like a bowling alley in the house, whatever. But Rob likes to make the refrigerator like look pretty.
Oh.
Like he has to like pull all the food to like the front and like display it. So like if there's too many leftovers, that like upsets him because he's like, what's all this stuff in here? I'm like, it's my food that I'm going to eat for lunch the next day. Like that's like, but he like doesn't, because it doesn't look pretty. Like he wants
the aesthetic is not right. Yeah.
Yeah, the aesthetic is not right for him. So when we first moved in together, he was like always doing this. I thought it was the weirdest thing. And
I think he's got a future career. He's trying out for a Walmart. He's just practicing.
Yeah. And then like with beverages too, I was always a tap water person, and like I just fill up tap water, fill up my water bottle. Okay. And then Rob started buying all these like fancy drinks. So between like a couple like bottled waters, or like, you know, I'm drinking like the bubblies now. And then I've always gone crazy with my milk and dairy. Like, so we'll have like whole fat milk, chocolate milk, low fat milk, almond milk, soy milk in the fridge all at one time.
Isn't Rob a big Red Bull fan?
Oh, yes. So he's a big Red Bull Monsters as well, which I have an opinion about that, but I digress. So the whole point is this, I still have this memory, like we first moved in together and I was like, he's like trying to make our fridge like look all nice. And we had like 1,000 different beverages that he like had to pull to the front, and they're like taking up the entire, like, you know, the side.
Do they all have to be refrigerated at one time, or could you just put some in at a time?
No. And like, you know, the side, you know, when you open the refrigerator and like you're supposed to put like condiments in there and stuff, like every section of this was a beverage. And I was like, Rob, like, what are you doing? And his
How
quote
does
to me,
it stay cold?
I know, right?
Because I put the things I want cold at the back of the fridge because that's where it's coldest.
Yeah, I think we have to turn it up a little bit. I think we spend a little more on our energy bill to keep our fridge cold. So his quote to me at that time, this was years ago, is I was like, we don't need this many beverages, and we certainly don't need them all like laid out in the fridge at all times. And he was literally said to me, he was like, options are good. Ever since then, that's why I say options are good. And because it's hilarious, but I'm bought into it. I'm like, I'm better hydrated than I've ever been.
Especially when they're all options you've chosen yourself.
Right.
Yes. Like I'm better hydrated than I've ever been. I've honestly explored so many different beverages. Like tap water is great and everything, but like sometimes it's warm and room temperature, and then I don't want to drink it. And then it's like, wait, I have this like blackberry bubbly, like I'm like all fancy.
Do you know what you do when tap water's warm? You run the tap again and wait for it to get cold.
Or like put some ice in there.
Put some ice in, yeah.
Anyways, I'm bought into the philosophy. That's not my philosophy, or it wasn't as a dietitian, but now I'm like, options are good.
Rob was helping you with your nutrition.
Yes, he did. I learned something from him. I don't need MTV Cribs refrigerator. I don't need that.
I still think it's a massive waste of energy. So I'm sorry, my environmental and budget mind is just not happy.
I know. And we don't do the bottled waters unless guests are coming over.
Yeah, same.
Then he wants to impress them, so he gets the bottled waters.
Impress them with plastic.
Same. I always have like 4 or 5 in like the refrigerator just in case someone comes by.
And it actually did happen to me. I'm here in Texas. It's really hot and we get a lot of solicitators. It's really odd. And just in this big neighborhood. And like, it's actually happened to me quite a few times where I've had solicitators like out in 100-degree weather and like they need water. And I've given them a bottle of water because I'm like, I do have, and somebody one time like legit was like, I'm so sorry to ask you this, but like, do you have any water? And I was like, I actually do.
Yeah.
And I really felt proud of myself that day. Because I was like, I don't know if this guy was going to make it out there. It was such a hot day in Texas.
I had that one day on a run, funny enough, in Texas too. I headed out. I did an out and back, which was the biggest mistake of my life because the first half I felt great. I think I was running like 12, 13 miles. So I'd run, I don't know. I was more, let's say I did 14. So I'd done 7. The first 7 I felt fine. I turned, I had to do the 70 at home, and with about 4 to go, it was 100 degrees. I was parched. I was like, When I stopped, I was seeing stars. I was like, I need water. I'm not okay. This was all during COVID as well. So I was like, no one's around and I'm on this trail. I need water. I need something. I don't have a phone. I was in trouble. And I kept going, just trying to put one foot in front of the other. Like I was dizzy. I was not doing great.
Oh my God.
And someone biked past me and I pulled up my courage, and said, as they passed, hi, can you help? I didn't say it loud enough. They cycled past.
Oh no.
Someone else came about a mile later. I shouted this time and the person they were biking with a bike, obviously biking with a bike. They had a basket in front of their bike and in their basket they had a little cooler and they had a bottle of water.
Oh my God.
And that person stopped. She said, yes, do you need anything? I was like, just some water, please. And she gave me this ice cold bottle of water. And yeah, it probably froze my brain at first, but it saved me. And
seriously,
like 2 years later, I'm so grateful.
Seriously. Yeah.
If she's listening, thank you.
I know. If you're listening to this episode, lady with the basket on her bike.
I think I made it hard for myself to get help, given one, it was COVID, and two, no one runs in the middle of the day or exercises for exactly the reason that I was in trouble.
Yeah.
So no one was out.
But that's what I was going to say. You were in Texas for a short period of time. So like versus like for me right now, like I actually, it's June now. And you guys know I'm just building up my running again post-pregnancy. But now it's like, if I don't get out before 8 a.m.
Oh, no, this experience happened in July or August. No, I know. I was there from January through to September. So no, this was in the middle of the summer.
Yeah. And I know like now it's really not worth it to me. And by the way, I can't get out before 8 a.m. with a 5-month-old baby. So I have a Peloton. So yeah, it's like I have to like reframe my mind that I'm like, summer is not the time for running in Texas. For me, at least right now. If I could wake up earlier, but I think I actually talked to Rob about this like this weekend because I was like, should I try and wake up earlier? But then I was like, I'm still so sleep deprived. And like every professional I talk to, like, sure, I care about nutrition, I care about training, but like sleep is at the hierarchy, right? Of like how it impacts your health. And I'm just like, it would be ridiculous for me. I'm waking up, at 1 a.m., 4 a.m. Why the heck would I wake up at 5:30 to go for a run?
But I think even for elite athletes or like people looking to perform at their best, sleep is a foundation. Training is great, but you only improve when you recover.
Yeah.
And the two keys to recovery is nutrition and sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we get so caught up in, there's such a mixed message too, and especially like coming out of having a baby is like that expectation of, no pain, no gain, or like just keep, pushing yourself. If you have hours in the day, do it. And like, do you really have to? I
have to take it day by day.
I think it's hard because we celebrate that. Like when we see mums doing it all, we're like, you go, mama. You're doing such a great job. You're doing amazing, when they're probably really struggling. And the fact that they're able to achieve so much, like outwardly that you see, probably is coming at some great cost to them mentally and physically.
It's really interesting you say that, Ruby, because like I have gone on some great stroller runs and people have said things like, you go, mama. And it makes me feel good because I'm like, thank you. But then, there's plenty of days where I cannot. I can't, whether it's I can't or it's Gabe can't, like I can't put him in the stroller. It's not the right time. It's too hot outside, whatever. And it's like, okay, so now I'm not getting out for a run. And like, it's just, there's so like, I do feel good when people, well, this is exactly the problem with like making comments. Like I feel good when people are like, you go, mama. But then it's like, but I cannot do that all the time.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This might be a hard one.
Okay.
As a dietitian in sports performance, as a sports dietitian, do you feel any pressure to remain the same way in terms of your body image coming after having a baby?
Alternatively, do you feel pressure to reject it and like kind of almost prove a point that you don't feel that way?
Am I allowed to say yes to both? So I think ultimately, if I'm feeling pressure, it's all coming from me. Who is it coming from? I don't feel pressure from either of you. Like, I don't feel pressure from my clients. Like, nobody's actually pressuring me, but it would be myself. What is this standard I think I have to keep? Or I certainly have a fear. Yeah, to be completely vulnerable. I do have a fear. I'm over here as a sports dietitian, like trying to help female athletes get to their highest level and all that. And it's like, but if I don't keep up my athletics,
I was going to say, do you feel a pressure
are people going to respect?
to do some sport, to look fit?
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely feel that to some extent. Now, have I done anything about it? No. So what do I mean by that? I mean that I did not go on a diet. I have not forced myself back into exercise postpartum. Everything I've done postpartum has been very like self-driven, natural. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, I mean, like my first 3 months postpartum, I was eating all the time because, well, I should rephrase that. Every opportunity I had to eat, I was eating because I had so many opportunities where I couldn't eat because I was like learning all this stuff and like hands always holding a baby and like all that. And then, I am nursing. And so there was like that demand on my body. And so I was like eating a ton. And then I started getting back into training, not because anybody was putting that pressure on, but I was like, Rob, I want to run. I need to get outside. I need like days that I'm struggling being a mom, just because that's hard, is like, if I go out for a run and I have to ask Rob, like, can you watch Gabe so I can go for a run? I go for a run and I come back and I'm like, thank you so much. Like, I feel now I can be a better mom because of that, because I got that run. And so, yeah, I guess like to answer that is I do have that fear, that pressures, it's all self-created, but I'm not necessarily acting on it. Everything I've done with food and training post-pregnancy has been natural as to what I want to do and what feels good for my body.
I think that's normal in the way, like, we're all going to feel some pressure or have pressure on ourselves, but the difference is whether you act on it or not, because society is set up for us to have some kind of pressure at some times, some kind of self-doubt, or some like negative criticism in our own heads, but it's definitely about, do you have the tools in your toolbox to learn how to act with your own best interests at heart rather than the voices you might have in your head.
Yeah.
Jenna, I was going to ask you the same kind of question. Do you feel pressure as a sports dietitian to look a certain way, to act a certain way? Because you're obviously on FaceTime with your clients a lot too, whereas no one ever sees me. So like, I could look any which way, but I don't know if you feel so.
I think I don't want, I think when I was a younger self as a student in dietetics and having my experience of distorted eating and poor body image, it was almost as if, people can hate me for saying this, but it was past, it's not now, it's almost like I had this internal, like, not fat shaming, but just like kind of like, I don't understand why somebody is overweight and is a dietitian. And I hate saying that out loud right now, but like when I was in my naive, selfish being that I was, it was like, I don't understand. Or like, but now I'm learning that not everybody has to be so conscious of their weight. Bodies come in all different shapes and sizes. And like, being thin doesn't mean that you're actually happy or satisfied with your life or successful.
Or being thin doesn't mean you're a better
or that you're a good dietitian.
You're a good dietitian, right?
I think it's like saying to a librarian, though.
But the thing is I wouldn't even let them allow them to show me that they were a good dietitian just based on me judging them.
Yeah.
And that was like, that wasn't cool. And that's, like do I feel that way? I think sometimes within the population that we work in, I understand that I may very well be judged the same way I judged other people. But I know that I'm not, how do I explain it? It doesn't make me lose sleep at night.
Good.
And I don't know. I don't think it.
But do you feel pressure to look a certain way or be active for your job?
For my job, I think it's helpful to be active. I think it's helpful because you kind of want to talk the talk and walk the walk. I think it's really great to throw yourself in these experiences and to try and learn things as best as possible. Like in the hockey world, do I play hockey? No, but like I will try and understand it as much as possible. I think for me, more of it is not a pressure of a certain way to look, because that is a different segue of like, I'm the one who's aging the most. I'm the oldest. So that part of my life is like, but not from a way of a dietitian. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just as a woman, like,
Yeah.
Aging is scary, and how you change the way you look as you get older. But I don't think from like a body image standpoint, I'm not affected by it, and I don't lose sleep over that.
I appreciate you sharing your thoughts of your past,
Mm-hmm.
and just want you to know that your past is no reflection of now. But I also think it's like, I don't know if it's an age thing, but I think that when we're younger, myself included, like we do judge harder. And I actually have to tell you that a professor of mine, one of my favorite nutrition professors in college, was in a larger body.
Mm-hmm.
And she was my absolute favorite professor. She was the best at teaching nutrition. And she was my first exposure to understanding like that her body is healthy.
I think you just said that a lot more eloquently.
I did research under her.
But I think this just goes back to the fact that to all our listeners out there, like your weight or your body or whatever body you're living in, however you come, like your outward appearance, like it doesn't define you. It doesn't make you good or bad at a job. Like how you look has nothing really to do with your ability to perform a certain job. Just as there are as many, if not more, I'm sure, larger body dietitians or PE teachers that are equally as good, equally as qualified, equally as talented as those that live in smaller bodies.
I also want to pose that, one, your body size does not dictate like how good of a dietitian you are, but also that the truth is, this is just like human nature, maybe tribalism.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe people in larger bodies, I can't speak for them. Okay, so I'm not going to pretend to, but so I'm just posing maybe people in larger bodies actually feel more comfortable speaking to a dietitian in a larger body who has their lived experience, which is the same way why athletes like to come to us, that we are also athletes. In the same way that somebody, like it's about our experiences. And so our body shape size does not, I don't think that what my body looks like matters, but I think me staying involved in sport on some level, I do think that matters.
When you said about the dietitian you liked very much.
Yeah.
Nutrition is not what your body shape is. I mean, it's not. Because
no.
If I can't understand what gluconeogenesis is, I'm out. It's literally about what's going on inside here, and not about listening to somebody who has a certain aesthetic that I appeal to.
Well, I think we know this with all the Instagram nutritionists and health accounts.
But what you're saying is some of the nutritionists, quote unquote, or dietitians with the worst relationships with their body and nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately we really can't judge by how somebody looks as to what their diet is or what their relationship with food is even like.
No,
health truly is at every size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet, when I was in my really bad parts of my life were just I had enough energy to go running and then struggling to get to class and go to the third flight of stairs for class was exhausting. Yeah. My teacher, who had the opposite figure than I did, easily go up the flight of steps, no problem.
Yeah.
Because she was healthier than me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think that was also another thing too, with my professor, she was very active and very, very fit, and she was strong.
Yeah.
That goes back to you can't judge, health comes at every size, so does fitness. And you can't judge how fit someone is by how they look. Yes, at a certain percent body fat, you might have abs, or you might look particularly ripped, but that doesn't mean that, what I'm trying to say is, you can't judge bodies, fitness by body size.
Yeah. You just, for however you just said that, Ruby, made me think of something. So obviously we have our slogan, fierce, fit, and fueled.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say the word fit, I truly mean your fitness. Are you like from the inside out, like healthy, and what
Mm-hmm.
is your fitness status? Right. And I have heard other people in the space of disordered eating and body acceptance say that they actually don't like that word fit because it's like, oh, you look so fit. And it's like, there's no look to
I
that.
think
But I'm like,
we've had this discussion before. When I first came on board, when I
Yeah.
first started the podcast, I kind of said to you, I'm like, Lindsay, you're promoting like trying to reject diet culture. Why are you talking about being fit?
yeah, because that's not the definition of the word. Fit doesn't have a look. It's not about the
Doesn't
look.
have
So
a
when
look.
people say like you look fit, I would say that's a wrong
Mm-hmm.
way of using the word fit. That's the wrong way to use it. You can't look fit,
Mm-hmm.
but you can be fit.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes in all different looks.
Yeah.
I think it's almost the same way that our culture shames people for being fat, when actually fat is a label that a lot of people now are trying to just use it as a description. Like saying, I have brown hair, I carry fat, I am
Yeah.
large. Like, it's not me saying that, like I said, I'm small, I've got brown hair. Like, they're just descriptions, except society puts
just
emotion
descriptions.
into them. Society puts value into some of these words, which should just be as they are, which is descriptions and words rather than value statements.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like, I think right now for me, like I actually, like with that word fit, like that's like a few months ago, I wasn't as fit. I was going through something different, but now I'm like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
now I am like, I've been training for a few months. Has my body shape, size, weight changed? Well, I was going to say no, it hasn't, but like it a little bit from the whole used to have a baby type thing. Now don't have a baby in my belly anymore, but like nothing has drastically changed there. It's
Mm-hmm.
I've started training again. And
Yeah.
so it's not about my body shape, size, or weight.
But also fitness is so different. There's so many different like types of fitness.
Yeah.
Like, I would say I'm fit right now, but I'm not a fit runner. Like, I haven't run in a few, like, I've been dealing with injuries, so like, I have good cardiovascular fitness, but I don't have running fitness right now. Like, I might be a good cross-trained fitness, but I don't have rock climbing fitness. Like, there's so different.
Yeah, what's your fitness?
There's so many different ways to define fitness. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, we choose.
I truly don't. I've been going to the rock climbing gym now. I've gone the last 2 weekends in a row.
I didn't even think of that similarity example. That's probably where it came from, me seeing your story.
So I know for a fact that I am not rock climbing fit right now.
Oh, you're fitter than me.
Yeah. Well, it was fun. Yeah, we went for the very first time 2 weekends ago, and then we went again this weekend. Again, going with, you know what? It's too hot to run in Texas in the summer. Like, what's more of an indoor thing we can do and just have fun and just move? And so it's not for a workout. It's not for, competition.
Hey, that gets back to what we started the conversation with, options. You have different options to work out.
It's just, you know what? There's something else. There's another way that I can move my body and like, it's just fun. And, it's a cool challenge. And like, even yesterday when I went, I did a couple, I don't even know what you call it, because I'm not a great, like, I ascended a couple times. Okay. But then I was like, you know what? For me, it's not about like going up and pulling myself up. I wanted to work on like more like technique. So I like stayed low on the wall and was like trying to work on technique more. And it was just like a fun way to move my body this weekend. I liked it. Yeah.
I really enjoy that. Like, being a beginner at something, I think it's really important sometimes. Like, trying something new. Like, for me, when I got interested in running, last time I was injured, I decided I'd never done this before. I'd never used the bench press, so I decided to do it. I still can only bench press the bar and maybe a few very light weights. But like, trying something new and being a beginner is awesome sometimes.
Yeah. All right. So we've been talking for a while now, and I'm sure we could keep going, but I've jumped all over the place, from olives to sea cucumbers to pressure that we feel about our bodies as sports dietitians. And yeah, that was quite the array of topics. So I think we can end it there. How does that sound, Jenna, Ruby?
Yeah.
Does that feel good?
Sounds great.
Yeah, I feel like we've covered everything, but also not very much.
Yeah, and I only even asked Jenna one question of what was something fun you ate. So
guys,
next
if
time
you're listening and enjoyed this and want a part 2, maybe Lindsay can ask me a question.
That's what I was going to say. We're going to start the next time we do this. We're going to start by asking Ruby that question. Maybe you guys can ask me too, because I actually had some answers to that. I ate some fun things this week, but we're gonna keep that a secret, and we'll do another episode of just conversational style nutrition topics. Again, with myself, Lindsay Cortez, your host of the Female Athlete Nutrition Podcast, owner of Rise Up Nutrition, Jenna, our lead nutrition success coach at Rise Up Nutrition, and Ruby, our amazing podcast manager here at Rise Up Nutrition. So thank you all for listening.
Thanks.
And as is my kind of job as a podcast person, if you liked this episode, let us know, because we were thinking about making this a more regular kind of episode format. So drop us a comment or send us an email, info.riseupnutrition@gmail.com, or let us know on Instagram. And we'll be back. And if you don't like it, well, I think we'll still be back, because I want to answer this question.
If you don't like it, too bad. We're going to do another episode like this. And
if you don't like it, you can still like it and subscribe.
Yes. If you don't like it, don't tell us. I really hope you enjoyed that episode, and thanks for listening. But before I let you go, I have free resources that you can have access to right away, right now, so that you can start fueling your body as a fierce, fit, and fueled female athlete. First, I have your Red S recovery race. If you've ever wondered if you might be struggling with Red S, curious to learn more, or know you have Red S and are looking to recover fast, then you can head to www.riseupnutritionrun.com/RedS and download the Red S recovery race. See how you place and figure out the next steps to recovery. Plus, while there, I have a few other great resources for you, including 3 nutrition secrets that every elite athlete swears by, and access to our private Facebook community, Female Athlete Nutrition. So again, to gain access to all of this, head to riseupnutritionrun.com/RedS. That's /REDS. And you can gain access and get the help you need fast. Too many girls and women and female athletes struggle with nutrition, but you don't have to any longer. Become fierce, fit, and fueled. Links in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.